Most debt recovery companies follow the usual path. They will write a letter, they'll make telephone calls, they'll send text messages, they'll send emails. We believe that's an absolute waste of time.
Modern debt collection agencies boast about the high-tech gadgets they have in their arsenal to track down debtors.
29,301.
Yeah. We will visit them in all the places where they don't want us to show up.
From standard body cameras to using drones to spy on people. This might sound terrifying, but what if I told you no matter how advanced debt collectors get, there's one thing that will always hold them back? This one thing stops them breaking into your housing.
Please open the door, otherwise there will lots of them open it for you.
Spying on you.
Hello?
Threatening you.
Alright, don't just say nothing. Right, no one say nothing. How many people in here?
Demanding payments.
I'm afraid to go and go. I need some money. Alright? I will take something worth £200.
And all the other dirty tricks that they pull. No matter how hard they try, they won't be able to change this. And that's the law. These laws have been created to protect you from debt collectors, and throughout this video, I'm going to show you the horrible things that debt collectors think that they can get away with and teach you exactly how you can fight back. Liam Neeson's search for his daughter is nothing compared to how far debt collectors will go to track down their money.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for a ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
One of the agencies, let's call them Daycat, as I don't want them tracking me down, quite literally doesn't sleep. They offer 24/7 surveillance and hire a team of investigators to hunt down debtors. Their reach isn't even limited to the UK.
What you got? No, what number 16? Number 16? No, you're not. You speak very good English.
This agent is in Bordeaux, France, tracking down a British person who's left the country. He interviews a local builder who happens to be English and find out details which you might think are trivial, like where he used to work and shop, but it gives the agent enough ammunition to continue his investigation.
I'm at the Builders Merchants that was referenced in the interview I did with the person I just talked to, so I'm going to go and see if they've got any address details.
He finds a builder's merchant the debtor used to use.
There's somebody that speaks English I can talk to. I just need 2 minutes, please, if that's okay. I'm from an English investigation company called...
Yes.
I'm trying to find somebody who I believe has an account here.
What he did here is really smart. By calling himself an investigator, the lady might think he's from the police, especially if she's not fluent in English.
Do you have an address for him, please?
The mobile phone or no, the phone number? You want the phone number?
Yeah, you can give me that, that'd be great.
The woman then provides him with the debtor's new number, address, and even his son's number. The agent's careful choice of words has paid off. He now has the information that he needs. This is the power of language. The right words, chosen carefully, can open doors and can make people cooperate. The tools of their trade are not limited to phone calls and door knocks. They employ the latest technology, including drones, to track down those who owe money.
Drones can secretly observe debtors to ensure that during the debt collection process, action is taken at a good time so that the collection goes to plan.
More like, we use drones to illegally spy on debtors to make sure when we come knocking, the debtors don't sneak out the back.
Our drone services are available not just in the UK but also anywhere in Europe and beyond.
Or you could say, moving abroad might get the police off your back, but silly things like laws don't stop us.
We can legally use drone surveillance techniques to ensure that we capture not only physical evidence, but also evidence that some debtors may try to hide.
Legally isn't the word that I'd use. If a drone flies over private property without the owner's permission, the debt collectors could be liable for trespassing. You could take legal action for violating your right to privacy. This is why it's so important to know all the facts. The debt collection industry. The amount of personal debt in the UK is constantly rising. The average total debt per household, including mortgages, was nearly 65 grand in 2022. The UK's total interest payments on personal debt over a year would have been nearly 48,000 million. That's an average of 131 million per day. And that's just the interest, it's not even tackling the debt. Despite the rampant debt throughout our nation, we still aren't educated on how to manage our debts or what legal protections we have against debt collectors. That's why I want to shine a light on it so that you're aware of your rights. So I'm going to skim through the British legal system here, and I'm going to pull out some key debt collection rules that they must follow and teach them to you. And of course, I've compiled them into an internet-friendly numbered list. Number 1 is confidentiality of debts. Creditors or debt collection agencies can't disclose information about your debt to third parties like employers, colleagues, or family members. This confidentiality rule is strictly enforced and violations are considered serious offences. So the stuff that you saw Daycat do isn't illegal, but they get as close to the line as possible. Number 2 is no pressure tactics. Debt collectors are not allowed to apply undue pressure for immediate payment. They must respect your decision-making time and allow you to find a suitable solution for your debt. So if you're getting letters or calls or debt collectors showing up at your door saying that you need to pay now, that's not true. Take your time and find a solution that works for you. Another trick is that they try to get you to commit to 3 smaller payments because psychologically, once you've committed to paying those initial payments, you're more likely to continue. Always use a budgeting sheet before you commit to making any payments so that you can make sure that you can afford the repayments. Number 3 is clarity of communication, and I'll get back to this in a minute. So debt collectors should avoid using complex financial jargon that might confuse you. They're required by law to explain any terms that you might find confusing, ensuring transparency in communication. So don't feel dumb if you don't understand what they're saying. They purposely make things sound more complicated than they actually are. It's a bit like a L'Oreal advert where they throw in these pseudoscience terms about the shampoo to make it sound like it's the best.
L'Oreal presents a scientific revolution. Volume Filler, our first hair care system with Phloxin.
It's an age-old trick to convince you that they have an advanced, incomparable solution. Number 4 is respect contact preferences. Harassment from debt collectors is considered illegal. Debt collectors can only call you between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on weekdays. They shouldn't call multiple times in a day, and they shouldn't contact you on social media or pressure you for lump sum payments. Debt collectors must respect your preferred contact times and adhere to them. If you've asked them only to email you, then they can't start calling you. And if you need help writing an email to them about your preferred contact methods, I'll leave a template below this video for you to use. Number 5 is legal powers limitation. Debt collection agencies don't have the same powers as bailiffs and can't pretend to possess these powers. They have no legal right to enter your home or take your belongings to pay off the debt. Don't even open the door to them. You can talk to them through your letterbox if you want.
The trouble with being a vampire is you have to be invited in to go in.
Like to come in to the bar, please.
Number 6 is proof of debt. Before demanding payment, debt collection agencies must prove that you owe the debt. This typically involves presenting a signed agreement or similar evidence. If they can't prove that you owe the debt, then they can't chase you for it. And most importantly, before you arrange any form of payment, get free advice from a debt charity. You should never pay more than you can afford, and if you're struggling, you can pay as little as £1 a month. There's a little known scheme called Breathing Space, and if you're struggling with your mental health, look into whether you qualify for it. They can help freeze your debts while you come up with a solution. If debt collectors violate these rules, you can make an official complaint first to the debt collection company and, if unresolved, to the Financial Ombudsman. Rules have changed over the years for the better, and this expands on point number 3 that I just mentioned. A big change was made in Parliament in October 2020. The law states the letters borrowers receive from their lenders lenders when they are seriously behind on repayments will be easier to understand and less intimidating as a result of new rules proposed by the Treasury today, which is 7th of October 2020. Martin Lewis responded to this by saying,
"It's no exaggeration to say that this change could save lives. Over 100,000 in England attempt to take their lives each year due to debts, and 4 times that consider it. So we're delighted the government has agreed to back this element of our campaign and change the default demand rules. The last thing people struggling with debt need is a bunch of thuggish letters dropping through the letterbox in language they can't understand, written in shouty capitals alongside threats of court action."
But even though the laws have changed and mental health is being factored into the equation, I still hear stories about people getting harassed, and it's heartbreaking. We'll see some shocking debt collectors in action in a minute.
Debt collecting used to be something that you could only ever do if you were anonymous to the world, because it was illegal. My best way was this. I would actually wake them up in their bed. I've got a million burglars who can open the door for me, and you just wake somebody up. Hello, shush mate, shush. Right, let me tell you. Shush mate, shush love. Right, let me tell you. About that 750 grand you just took off of so-and-so, yeah? I'm telling you, I don't expect you to have it in your bedside cabinet, but you've got 7 days to get it, or I'll be back, yeah? And after I've come back, you won't just get this, yeah? I'll put another belly button in you didn't want. Shush love, fucks you. Every time the end of the day comes and it's night, you close your eyes, you start to go to sleep. Oh fuck. Yeah, and it's surprising how many noises a house makes in the middle of the night.
These are some of the lads that I normally take with me. I can see the big fella there at the camp up. Alright. And yeah, you don't want them looking at the door at 3 or 4 in the morning. Even when you do fucking smile.
Only just when you smile.
Yeah, it looks like a bulldog to you that watches.
The good old days, before the regulations. If anyone starts physically assaulting you or intimidating you, that's a crime, and that debt collector will likely end up in prison, especially if they wake you up while you're sleeping. But don't worry, these are extreme cases, and unless your debt is with the mafia, your run-of-the-mill debt collector won't be doing these things anyway. But that's the image that debt collectors want you to have. They want you to think that some geezer is going to knock down your door if you can't pay. Sadly, even though we thought we'd put those antiquated hard man days behind us, there are still definitely some cold-hearted debt collectors on the streets. And this footage is only from the February just gone.
Hello, it's British Gas or Gas Supply. We're here with a court warrant. Can you please open the door? Otherwise there are lots of them open it for you. This is the exciting bit. I love this bit.
Which bit?
This bit. I love this bit.
There's a company that the major energy firms, including British Gas, use to do this very aggressive debt collection. They're called Arvato. And when I found out about this, I applied to work there undercover. The debt collection teams are deployed after courts sign off warrants on behalf of the energy firms. The companies are meant to screen for vulnerabilities. However, we broke into this home, even though a neighbour had told us there was a single dad and 3 children living inside. While I was working undercover, the government wrote to energy companies, asking them to stop forcing struggling families onto prepayment meters. However, 4 days later I was back on the road with a team breaking into homes for British Gas.
I'll get back to that story in a minute. These are laws in place to stop debt collectors from threatening you. And most debt collectors are just ordinary people who probably hate their job. I managed to find some inside information from an unhappy debt collector who unveils some more dirty tactics. They wrote a post about how much they hate being a debt collector, but they work there because he can't find any other job. And they're a bit like an undercover spy trying to subtly take down the company by doing as little work as possible and collecting the least money. Now, while that's commendable, they're still sadly contributing to the problem. But they did give us some valuable insights into tricks which debt collectors use. They usually send letters out if your name is spelled incorrect or the address is incorrect, or if anything's incorrect, even the smallest detail never correct it. Because as soon as you correct it, you verify that this account is yours, and it's hard to take that back. Always fight to get it removed from your credit. A lot of debt collection agencies say that they can't, blah, 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 but most of the time they can. It's just a simple click. Never give out your email. There are limits on phone calls, but no limits on how many emails we can send. Always ask for an itemised bill, because these companies lie to you about fees and other charges that were added to the original balance. Also, if you're worried about it hitting your credit and you want to pay it off but can't at the moment, even making the smallest amount of payment on the account will prevent it from reporting to credit bureaus. Just make sure to ask, if I start making small payments, will it prevent from being reported? And the answer is yes. If possible, make the payment directly with the original company and always get proof. On point 3, I found that debt collectors can only legally call you up to 7 times a week. Now, about the 5th point, here in the UK, if the debt collector has proved it's your debt and you're confident that it is your debt, you can make payments for as little as £1 a month. The irony is that even though extra regulations have been put in place, the aggressive tactics of debt collectors have left 4 in 10 of their targets fearing for their lives. And this is probably because this is how debt collectors used to behave and the image people have ingrained of what a debt collector is. In my opinion, here's the issue. Companies are always going to have debts that they need to chase, and it does affect the cash flow in this country. But I still don't think that we've found an entirely safe and consistent way to do it. Some debt collectors play by the book, but others don't. I personally hate the thought of people feeling harassed, desperate and stressed. Debt can escalate easily and in cases become uncontrollable. Once the debt's sold on to debt collectors, it's their job to get the money back. You might have a loan with Barclays, but once your debt is passed to a debt collectors, it's theirs now. Personally, I think that companies do this to avoid bad press. There have been stories in the past of banks harassing customers for money, but when it comes out, that doesn't reflect well on the bank. But if a debt collector does it, then it doesn't affect the bank at all. It's out of their hands. But if you feel like you're being harassed, collect evidence, complain to the creditor and tell them to stop. Tell them it's a criminal offence and make sure that you've got it in writing, preferably email. And if that fails, if your debt collector belongs to a trade association, then that's your next step. Contact them with your evidence and explain everything.
Exciting bit. I love this bit.
Which bit?
This bit. I love this bit.
Now back to debt collectors installing prepayment meters. Following a huge backlash and intervention from both Ofgem, the regulator, and Parliament, the debt collection company Arvato Financial Solutions was sacked. An inquiry found 13 cases where their employees couldn't explain why they'd install meters. The installations didn't fall in line with rules and procedures. Ofgem have announced a new code of practice, and thankfully, this time we got justice against the debt collectors. The upsetting part is that it was after vulnerable people had suffered. Remember your rights. Hopefully, it'll help you make informed choices and you'll know when debt collectors are trying to manipulate you. It's best not to ignore them so they don't apply for a county court judgment. But now you know the tricks, you'll be equipped to handle them on the phone. And if they come knocking, keep that door closed.